All right, I am back. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Took a little bit of a break from YouTube, but I've always been consistent on Twitter, and I was told by Collin over at Solutions 8 that I should probably make videos more often, and I am on my way to do that. So if you guys are still here, still around, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, I want to start a kind of a new series going over kind of my best performing threads, and I'm actually going to go over a brand new thread I just wrote today on March 9th. 2022, and it's kind of going over 5 of the most common issues that I see all the time when I either look at new accounts or looking at back at old accounts and how I should have managed it, stuff like that. And I just want to be very transparent with you about how I kind of the 5 ways I see stuff, and also my performance over the last about 32 days as well. Right now, Schmelebeck PPC is pretty much still a one-man show. I do most of my client accounts. Right now, I believe we have 21 of them. And I do have now 2 specialists that have started helping me out over the last month, slowly trying to give away a little bit of control. Very hard thing to do, and it's something I'm learning on how to do, right? But it's been a great learning experience so far. About a month in with my 2 specialists now. They're doing a great job, so hopefully can hire more people very soon. But yeah, I just want to kind of go over what this thread is, and if you have any feedback for me, would love to hear it. I just want to be more consistent with YouTube and kind of give more value to people who maybe are not on Twitter, where I'm most active with almost at 30,000 subscribers on Twitter or followers, whatever. So if you're not following me there yet, go do it. I'm there every day with either threads or just insights or case studies, stuff like that. So give me a follow there at Schmelebeck PPC. So let's get into it. So looking at the last 32 days, I've made my clients, 21 of them, over $4 million total. And with that, $4 million, around $800,000 in ad spend. So return on ad spend, about 500%. So very good there. Some clients need more, some clients need less. The best clients are always, the ones that need like 1 to 2 because they have that great LTV, stuff like that. But can't always work like that. So 5 mistakes, right? So 1, really not focused on the big picture. 2, a ROAS dependency, so return on ad spend dependency. That's like the only metric they look at, stuff like that. Number 3 is no budget plan. This is more so when someone comes to me and they have questions, stuff like that. And then 4 is ad strength issues, kind of the newer metric to look at your ad copy and overall how does your ad perform. And then 5 is just lack of data. And I'll get into that a little bit more because I think I have some pretty strong views with that because Google Ads is already so much data driven. I just want to kind of share with how you can leverage that data more so. So let's get into it. Number 1. Not focusing on the big picture. This is definitely, I would say, the hardest thing to do for most PPC specialists or even managers is because they have a single job to do. Usually, say if they work at a company or work in an agency, company is a lot better because you have just that one account, but you get really bogged down in the details of that one account. Let's say so if you work in-house, work for a brand, every day you're trying to think, how can I improve this? When in reality, a lot of times Google Ads is more so improving by week over week, month over month, or even year after year in some cases, right? So it's not really a marketing channel that I think you can improve upon every single day, just because it takes a day or a couple days, depending on your ad spend, to really see a test and how did it perform, stuff like that. And then if you have, let's say, a specialist working at an agency where they have 30 to 50 accounts, which is way too many for one single person, then you have kind of one thing you always look for, and if that's not working, you don't really have any other way to go because you're so in a routine or with checklist that you really have, okay, I have 50 accounts to go through this week. You have 1 or 2 looks per account, and if they're not on the way to do that, we need to force them into a certain model. And I think that's kind of where big agencies go wrong. I guess you could call myself an agency now, but I like service-based business way more, and that's why I like being more of a freestylist myself. But one of the things I mentioned here was if I talk to a PPC specialist or even an owner of a company and they have questions on their ads, oftentimes literally like these are actual examples probably from last week phone calls is CTR, maybe it's competitors and stuff like that. Maybe it's the ad copy itself. Can I improve my H2 or H3 way more than H1? Is it the description? Is it some ad extensions? That's very, very minute and not really what will pull or jump you forward. When I take a look at an account or that's not performing well, the very first thing I always think about is the targeting and the offer right? And that'll go on my next, right here, if you scroll down here. The only thing that really matters in Google Ads is your offer and the relevance. And then if you have both those really, really well done, you're going to have Google Ads mastery, right? That's my formula. I might patent it, who knows? But the main thing, let's break that down. So offer, if you're familiar with the money Twitter sphere, you're going to already know a lot about making offers, making a good, valuable offer. You can either do it going by Alex Hormozi, his $100 million offers book, which is very, very good. He has a great YouTube channel, and he just started on Twitter. Or you can go to Black Hat Wizard, great guy, great courses, and he talks a lot about making offers that no one can resist. And I think that's the main thing that kind of people overlook is they have a product, or let's say SaaS, and they want to either get new customers, have people order more, stuff like that, but they forget what makes people buy in the first place. Because if you have you against, say, 10 to 100 other competitors in the same channel, aka Google, and you're trying to get them to pick you instead of them, why would they pick you? Why should they pick you? And that's one of the main questions I ask all my new clients, even clients that I still have usually every couple of weeks, is what is your USP, your unique value proposition, stuff like that I can leverage in either ad copy or talking about your product or showing your product if it's through YouTube or Discover Display. I think that's the main thing most people forget about is they have a good product, but if it's the same exact thing as everyone else in your space, how can we stand out from the crowd? There's ways to do that. With search, you can have a different ad copy than all your competitors do, stuff like that. You can kind of skirt around it, but to become a great company, I've seen time and time again for the last 3 years now, you need to have an offer that stands out from the crowd and that is more valuable than what you're charging for. Same thing in my situation, right? I have a Google Ads business and I need to charge what I'm worth, but also that I give more value than what I charge. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for the business, and it's not a win-win for both me and my clients. So that's the main thing. Make sure your product and service is something way better than your competitor and something we can leverage upon. And then 2 is relevance. This thing is kind of self-explanatory. That's the main part of Google. Google has always wanted to become the most relevant topic for the most relevant search engine that it could possibly be, because that means more people will come to Google with problems that they have, with questions that they have. And what do you know? That's how you use Google. If you search for something, if you search for X, you want Y. You don't want X and you get maybe A or B. You just want something that's directed to what you're searching for. So if you do that, you will be rewarded. You'll have cheaper CPCs, better more customers. You can scale easier, all the good stuff. So that's the first thing. Number 2, return on ad spend dependency. So I love ROAS. I think it's one of the best metrics you can look at, but it can't be your end-all, be-all. If you just only every week look at ROAS, you're probably not going to be able to scale that well, or you'll be afraid to test new things because you say to your client or your boss, hey, we have 300% ROAS this last week. Can I test something else? And they might say, no, we want 300%, and you're kind of just stuck there in lost space of Google Ads. You can't really do too much because if you have a good system, you don't want to screw it up. And I think that needs to not be the overall thing. So I have some clients that are happy with where they're at. You'll kind of just optimize from there, try and get a little bit higher ROAS and stuff like that. But most clients, you need to be honest with them and tell them, hey, if we're at 3% ROAS right now at 10K a month, you want to get 50K a month? Over time, when we scale with new campaigns or pushing the limits of our current campaigns, you're going to not have that same amount of ROAS. In a perfect situation, of course, perfect situation, you go from 10 to 20K the next month to 30K. That ROAS either stays or even grows if you have a great market and you're kind of just scaling really well. But most of the time, it dips because you're trying to get more data into Google to then leverage with other campaigns the next couple times. And that really depends on the sales cycle of the customer. That's number 7 in my list of understanding for a client. Is if you have a sales cycle of 6 months, maybe you're a SaaS product, stuff like that, and there's demos, they gotta learn the product, they need to sign a year contract, or if they're already in a contract with the competitor but they're waiting to get out, that's gonna be a long time to think, okay, ROAS dependency, I'm just spending money for 6 months, maybe they're gonna get return. No, you need to think about all that and then throw in ROAS in there as well. So it's a good metric to use, just don't always use it as your end all be all. Number 3 of 5, almost done, no budget plan. This is something usually more so when clients potentially come to me, I'm asking them if they're gonna be a good fit for my company, my brand, and I ask them, hey, how much do you want to spend? They say, well, anything that you can give me, I'll give you anything if you give me an extra return. I'm like, okay, duh. Yeah, everyone's gonna say that. I would say that to anyone too. But you need to have a good aspect of, hey, this is my budget to test. I have 60 to 100 days to test this for Google, and comparing this to Facebook. That's a great test. So now I have a timeline. I have to know, okay, I need to get this on Google. Otherwise, Facebook is a better performing channel for that brand, right? That makes sense. And like in this situation, say you already have a client and they give me $50K for say a month or two. I know I need to get X amount to be profitable for that client. And in this situation, this is one of my clients, actually one of my newer clients, just signed in January now. We had $50,000 to spend, and the client needed $200,000 back. So 400% ROAS, and in just over, I believe this was January 6th through February, it was about 45 days, and we got them there. So I was very happy with that. We spent just under $50K, got them back about $230K in revenue, so about 450% ad spend. They were very happy, and how I broke it down in my head and my account strategy was, all right, I'll have about 75% of the budget was for getting immediate sales as much as possible. So the shopping campaigns, search campaigns, stuff like that, with a little bit of for marketing with YouTube and display. And then about 25%, I wanted to kind of just test boundaries, right? I tested some discovery campaigns that discovery are really hit or miss. If you work with e-commerce, you know that. I tested some display stuff, going after combined audiences. And most of the stuff fails, but that's okay because you're getting data back, and that ties into I believe my next point, or my number 5. But you always want to be testing, always be experimenting, because if I can get to $50K a month with search and shopping with this campaign, how can I get to $100K a month? Is it just those 2 campaigns and those channels, or can I introduce more cold audience YouTube and really scale that way? So again, have a certain amount of your budget for return on investment right away, or building your pipeline for future sales. And then 2, that 5 to 10, I would say in between 10 and 20% in most cases, depending on your overall spend limit and your budget. If you have $10K a month and you need to make returns, then like maybe $1,000 a month. Like be smart with it, but just test certain stuff. You never know what's going to work. So that's that. And then, all right, number 4, ad strength. This one is a newer metric in Google Ads that came out last fall, but it wasn't really used or talked about much. So this one is a little interesting because Google did come out and say it does affect kind of everything else in the account in terms of your quality score and your CPC, all that good stuff. If I can find that article, I'll link it below. But the main thing is use it once you have a good idea and after post testing. Until then, don't worry about it. Like if you have at least get average, because poor, it's going to really affect your showing and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to test, you have 15 headlines or 14 headlines to go, test, H1s or H2s or H3s, your features of the product, your USP of the product, some pricing, CTAs, all kind of stuff. Pin them where you want to be at and let it test, let it run, right? Maybe you can have an experiment. But after that, after you know some ad copy that works, really hone in on making sure your ad copy matches the keywords that you're targeting, right? Themed ad groups, and you want to get at least a good. Like you should be going for excellent. Every account should be going for excellent unless you have way too many keywords in an ad group. But that really will help you in the long run, and you'll notice that if you say, all right, this month I'm just going to go for testing. The next month, try to maximize and optimize the ad to have excellent. You'll notice a difference. Trust me. So that's that. And then number 5, lack of data. Last one. This one, I think Facebook ads and Google ads are both like the primary marketing channels for most businesses. I think the reason Google ads is not as sexy for most business owners or even like marketing agencies is because it's harder. You have way more data to look at. The dashboard isn't as clean, doesn't flow as nicely because there's just so much stuff to do and to see and to read and to analyze. And I think that's what makes Google ads tougher. It's because you need to be more proficient at reading and analyzing all that data and make informed decisions rather than Facebook. So no hate on Facebook. I don't know much about Facebook ads. I can get by, but I don't do anything for my clients. But the biggest thing you can do to really maximize your potential return on your investment is to add even more data and get as much possible data as possible in either other marketing channels, in a third-party attribution tool like Triple Whale or Northbeam, or even Wiki Reports if you want to go a little smaller. But some examples I want to say is, track every part of the sales cycle if you can. If it's like a e-commerce product where it's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio, it's very easy. If you get with like HubSpot and like a CRM, it's a little harder. You make sure your sales team is on point for that. But another way to do it is run experiments side by side, see what works the best. Dig into Google Analytics or another analytics platform like Wiki Reports. That's like the most underused tool, I think, for a lot of PPC managers, is they don't really look at the other side of stuff. They kind of just want to look inside Google Ads and forget about that. But again, the more data you have, the better informed you can make decisions, and the better tests you can run, and potentially get the better return for your client or your own brand. So those are the 5 things. Again, thanks for watching this. I know it's a little bit longer of a video, but I don't really care. I just want to get you as much value as possible. Hopefully I stay consistent with this. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. Again, I have 3 things for my subscribers. One is I do monthly Google Ads management. My guarantee is you make at least $100,000 in 90 days. There are some stuff with that. If you go to my website, you'll see. Number 2 is the full account audit plus 1-hour consulting session. I toss it in for free to kind of go over the results. And then number 3, as I do have a Google Ads community now on Twitter. It's a brand new thing. Should be able to, I think most people have access to this now, but almost nearing 300 members in the first day and a half. So looking forward to that, and that's where I'll be dropping all my threads, and as well as just you can ask me any question one-on-one. It's more of that personalized style than me just tweeting and you asking a question underneath that. So if you want to join it, please join it. But if not, I'll be back tomorrow with another video going over a thread or something on Twitter that I thought you might be valuable for. So thank you again, and have a great day.